I can get my questions answered. If you want to get stronger, you have to do strength. And running will only take you so far. When I did a half marathon this year and I was at 2:07, so.
All right, welcome back, guys. We are here.
Episode 79.
Episode 79, and hold on, I gotta start recording. All right, welcome back. Now we're live.
Now we're
episode
live. 79
of the TRE, the Running Experience live show. Guys, it is getting to be the end of the year.
It is.
And we are actually in reflection mode.
We are in
I am in
reflection mode.
So much reflection, actually. Can you see my reflection in this? Look at this. Nate got me some new gear.
I know, we got some new threads. Threads for the team.
This is our new team hoodie. And then you guys saw this from last week. I'm gonna put this on. I'm very happy with this, man. You really killed it with this.
Yeah.
I like this. My family members are in town and they're clamoring for hats. I'm like, no go. Those are all sold out already.
So we'll try to get some. And by the way, Jessica, Edward, and everyone else watching, surprise, you didn't know about these yet.
Oh, no. Oops. My bad. Merry Christmas, guys.
I know, exactly, right.
Well, Holly and
we got
them yesterday.
hooked up.
Okay.
Oh man, I know it's our second to last live show of the year.
So Edward and Elizabeth were like, "What? I didn't get one."
They're coming.
Yeah, they're coming.
Yeah, we are in a little reflective mode.
Yeah.
You know, how the year has gone. How did the year go for you?
This year was kind of for us as a business, was kind of an interesting year. We gained a lot of new people. We kind of moved.
You lovely people.
Yeah, I mean, just from our team, you know, we have a fairly large team that is, I wouldn't say large, but it's like a growing team that is supporting all the things that we do. And
I know.
It was really for me the transition between, you know, you and I being like the core people and having a couple people who help, to being like, you know what, like we have team members where like we are all like really working to make this a bigger thing and affect more people and get more runners happy.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be, guys, if you go back to our initial videos, it was really just me on camera or Craig, and then
maybe me behind camera really was yeah.
And we were doing all the video editing and all the uploading, and now we just have a bigger team. We're putting out more content, we have more fun. Hopefully you guys saw our first yoga video yesterday, yoga with Marie.
So we have a lot of people on today, and I was a lot of like, oh man, almost everybody I recognize, like Liz is here, Shauna's here, Tanae's here, Liz runs far. Running Geek Girl is here. Kyle Niebuhr's here from Louisville, of course. My parents are in town actually from Louisville right now.
Oh yeah.
And then Sam's here. So what I would love to know is we're planning for next year, and we have a couple big projects that we are working on. And what I would love to know is, from all the stuff that we put out around running, whether it's YouTube videos or whether it's products and like courses and training programs, or events, like we were involved with the SF Marathon this year, of all the things that we could do, like what would you like to see us do? I would love whatever it is that you need help with in your running life, or whether it's like coming out to see us, or whatever it is, like what if you guys as our loyal athletes would like to see us like tackle something next year. Maybe it's improve things that we are not doing great at right now. I would love to hear. Just put it down in the comments. Tell us what you, and if you are watching this after it's live, throw it in the comments as well. We'll be looking to see what you guys, because we are planning right now how we're going to spend our time
as up in the game
as we grow our team. Our team is definitely going to grow over the next year as well. So yeah, exciting to see. And we have hired most of our people
from the community. Yeah, that's been so fun to put out like postings on our YouTube community tab and find some great video editors and design people.
Paige is our newest person.
Facebook community and people who've gone through our programs who are now able to be part of the team. So because we are growing, always keep that back in the mind, especially if
Edward
is a passion
Edward
project
came through our community.
Oh, Edward, Jessica.
Jessica came through our community. Paige came through our community. Clayton and
Yeah.
Ariana, both came through our community. Almost our entire team, really. And I was initially his fanboy, and that's how we started.
So
working
eventually,
together.
you guys are all going to work with us.
Yeah.
I think that's really what we're
Awesome.
going for. So we have a really cool. We have a really great
I like this.
A guest today, Tina Muir. I couldn't decide what to title the show, so I kind of titled it both, which is
I noticed
Changing
that.
Women's Running and what it takes to get a fit again with Tina. And Tina, and we'll get this straight from her, made some waves in some different ways. She's an incredible runner in her own right. She's got a 2:36 PR in the marathon. She came out with this blog post that, people say things go viral, like this truly went big.
Yeah.
And her story, which I'll wait for her to share, got picked up by People Magazine, ESPN, Women's Right, like all over. They were just really fascinated to hear what she had to say. And since she has created this incredible podcast called Running for Real, and I think what Tina does an incredible job of is just she shares her lows as much as she shares her highs.
Right.
Because let's be honest, on social media stuff, we very carefully cultivate what we present to the world. And sometimes that can be an overly positive and rosy view, right? We have a bias of sharing all the good stuff. We don't always share the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And I think Tina does a very good job of sharing who she is in that moment.
Right.
And I think with the hope that if we all do this, we actually all get a little bit more genuine connection.
Yeah, in an authentic way that is connecting. Because you have that friend, we all have that friend on Facebook who talks about all the things that are going wrong in their life. And sometimes it can feel a little disconnecting. And so the way that Tina does it, I think, is really endearing and kind of makes you feel like you really know her as a whole person. And so in that vein, we're hoping to talk to her about all kinds of stuff today.
Yeah. She's apparently she came out with a book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Dropping some.
Oh, look, we have some.
Details.
We have some suggestions, guys. Let's see what we got. People, we got here. So, somebody says. So Tanae says, I would like to hear you talk a little more about trail running. I would love to see you run another ultra marathon as a whole tier. Okay, G to Chaos. It's funny you say that.
We'll do it. We'll just sign up for another race and get this guy in there.
I'll tell you what, I'm putting in 6 to 7 miles a day now with good regularity. It is fun. It is healthy. It is not stressing my body out.
Yeah.
I'm not really, I'm running like a normal clip, but not really pushing it. And I just I love this period of time where I'm there's nothing going on in particular. I'm just getting healthier. I'm too.
I'm enjoying running. I've been doing some hard workouts, which have been fun.
Yeah.
I've been doing these
5K.
fun 800s
Nice.
and these little grindy hill repeats. But not racing anything specifically. But that said, I am a hankering.
Yeah.
We got to decide what we're gonna do for an event next year. I agree. I love the trail stuff. We've definitely got some plans in the works for next year.
We're thinking about where we're gonna be traveling next year, and we're looking at races. So Boston, Chicago, New York, maybe London, that loop.
We had a good friend who suggested that we should go on tour.
Oh, right, Todd. Yeah.
We show up, and we could show up at some races, and we could even just show up for some weekend morning workouts and hangouts. Yep. What would you guys say? If we came to your city, would you hang out with us?
Yeah, it would have to be. You'd have to invite us to your house. That's part of it. We invite you into our house, my house, our home.
I know, right?
Did you guys notice that my mom came in and she
put up little Christmas lights in the background. It's so good.
I literally, she was here for all 15 minutes.
Give you guys a little zoom in just so you can kind of see those lights. They're a little blurred out, but you're going to see them in the back.
Yeah.
How good is that? I don't know, so fun. We get some other good suggestions here. TRE meetups, Melissa says, one of our captains, Melissa. Need to get it going. We've had a lot of fun doing different meetups at Boston and Chicago, New York, but I agree. I think we want to do more of those. Grow Team Grow. Yeah, you guys were saying the yoga video was great.
Oh,
Yay,
guys,
yoga.
That is so great. If you like that yoga video, please go comment on it and tell Maria that you liked it. She is, you know, a friend of mine, and she's starting her YouTube channel. And I said, look, I really like your stuff. We would love for you to be. If you want her on more, that's a possibility. So we would love to have her on more. It really worked out well.
Yeah,
so,
that was super fun.
I'm glad you liked it.
Jessica says, nice beanie, Craig.
Thank you very much.
I know. Jessica,
somebody special sent it to me.
Jessica, guys, is one of our team members, and right now
it's so crazy that she was not with us last year. This
time last
year, that is nuts.
And now,
like, she's an integral part of this.
Yeah, Jessica, don't leave because
we'd be lost without her.
Things would grind to a halt.
Yeah.
But now she is also Postmaster General. So if you order anything from us, it's going to be sent lovingly from Jessica, and she, you know, gets to dip her hands in the honey pots of all the gear.
She gets all the gear,
there.
So
I know she gets the first thing first.
Yeah.
Well, so what else about this year? You know, what else was good?
Yeah. So Shauna Scott has a really good point. She says, I think we need to start some TRE pods, local meetups and runs and such. We have been trying to figure out a way to do that because one, like, just getting, if you guys are all interested in running, I mean, like, I ran into a running group this morning that was formerly part of the November Project. This is a running group. And, like, if we can be a part of helping you guys meet up to run, we would love to do that. We have not figured out exactly how to organize that, but that is definitely something that we would love to do. Yeah, that's a lot of running and traveling. It's gonna happen. I'm so comfortable behind my computer or camera.
It's gonna happen, guys.
Yeah.
Tour 2019.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna see Nate going on tour.
You know what we're also going to do?
I will book the flights for him.
I'm down. Nor and I can ride shotgun.
4 flights yesterday.
You booked a lot.
4 different flights, yeah.
Oh, well, you're going on your travels.
Yeah.
Another thing we're going to do, guys, which we are very, very excited to try in the new year. Should we tell them about the challenge?
Oh, have we decided on it?
We've decided.
Okay. Well,
I've decided.
Yeah. I guess we have a challenge.
I know. We are going to do our first YouTube community-wide challenge starting in January, the week of January 7th. It is going to be a burpee challenge. That's all I'm going to say about it for the time being. But there'll be more details coming out. There will be a video.
I have to do this.
You guys, yes, okay. You will have to do this. I'm going to do it, but you can choose your level, and it's going to be super fun. And it's going to be what we stand for, because if you're a runner and you're not interested in burpees, you only just want to run.
I will say I haven't done as many burpees as I normally when I was doing more CrossFit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're still doing a lot of burpees, I bet.
I'm still doing a lot of burpees.
Okay.
It's the getting up and getting down. That's really what it is.
Yep.
Can you fall on the ground? Can you get back up again?
Craig's, did you see what Shauna just said? Craig's smoothie recipe book.
Ah.
Thank you, Shauna. I appreciate that.
I know. Hey, so maybe if we go on a book tour for Craig, maybe he'll be interested in traveling. Yeah. We can just do that. I like that idea. It's going to be super
TRE
fun.
run clubs like Nike does. Yeah, you know, Shauna, the thing about the running clubs, what we've thought about doing and have not gone far is like picking a store and saying, hey, okay, we're gonna. What that might start with is us doing it ourselves.
I know.
Yeah.
The run. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
We'll get into there. Well, let's get.
It's like I don't want to talk
without
about
further ado. Without further ado, maybe we should give Miss Tina a call.
I like the live shows where you show a lot of gear, shoes, etc. Oh, you know, we haven't done that in a while.
I was thinking next week we could do like a gear review show. Like, what was our favorite gear for 2018?
I have not picked up as much gear in the last 3 months as we were doing before.
Yeah.
I've been heads down in like the numbers and like ones and zeros.
Yeah.
Which has been.
The other thing I want to do on Monday, we are debuting one of our first really truly collaborative videos with Zach Levet, or Levitt. I want to say
Zach
yeah,
that's
Levitt,
right. Amazing.
Who is this awesome YouTuber. He is a freshman in college. He's a runner at the College of William and Mary.
Yep.
He has grown up watching Casey Neistat.
Yep.
And he is a super talented video editor and
video maker. I mean, just
video maker.
It's like the whole
thing.
whole process. Yeah.
So he's making some videos for us. The first one we're releasing is on Monday. I was half thinking it would be fun to get him on the live show on Thursday, even for a little bit, just to say hi.
That'd be great. Let's do that.
Yeah,
I like that.
That'd be super fun.
Yeah. We want to do more collaborations next year, so that's definitely something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's do this, guys. Let's get Tina on, and we can chat with her a little bit.
I feel like we haven't done a show where it's just you and me BSing for a full hour in a while.
It hasn't been a while.
So we have lots to say.
I feel like you're pent up. You've got a lot.
I have
you've got a lot
so
to say.
much angst. Yeah. You know what it is? Like my parents are in town, so I'm like entertaining them in the night, and then I'm like working all day. I need a release. I went running this morning. I got up at like 5:45, and I was like, it's dark out. I need like a little time by myself.
Yeah, you ran pretty much the fully dark run.
Yeah, it was almost completely dark.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Crazy town.
Oh, Shauna Scott said her goodies went in the mail this morning. Oh,
there we go.
Nice. Did she get a beanie or
she got something?
Sunglasses or cap or something?
I think that's cool.
Fantastic. Favorite things show. Yeah. All right, guys. Gear review 2018 would be great for both men and women. We gotta have to do more gear reviews. We need. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken.
They want us to try more things.
I know.
Yeah, let's do this. Okay, great.
We'll do this.
Okay, so first of all, do you want to give an intro to Tina once she just jumps on? I'll just pull her on.
Yeah, why don't we get Tina on here?
Okay, great. Hold on, let me see how I do this.
And we'll get her going there.
Insert your
the earbud is in. And we can make this happen here. So guys, we're about to call Tina Muir, get her online.
Hello.
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Hey Tina, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
We're doing
Looks
great.
Like the sound is good.
All right. Everybody can hear you.
Let's just make sure y'all can hear Tina. Can you hear?
Well, she can't hear because she hasn't said anything yet.
Well,
I haven't said anything.
There we go. There you go. Now we can hear you. Well, first of all, welcome to the show. We've just been BSing for the last 20 minutes about year-end stuff. We have, I don't know if you were listening to the show, but we have so many questions of like varying scope to ask you. It's been it's been two, like we should have gotten you on much sooner than this. I'm really happy that we finally have you on.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us, start out like, well, why don't you intro her first, and then we'll dig into my myriad of questions.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
So, Tina, we first met, what, 2 years ago? 3 years ago, maybe?
I think remember, yeah, probably, about that.
And I remember you had reached out where you were working at the time, and then we would always chat back and forth and commiserate, share stories on building stuff online. And then, eventually you launched your Running for Real podcast, this spring. But Tina, guys, is a incredible professional runner. She's represented Great Britain in the half marathon world championships. She is an Olympic hopeful for 2020. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, I guess.
Semi-hope.
It's hard to know when to say that. Like, is anyone who can kind of finish in the top 50 technically? So yeah, I guess I am.
Well, I'm a hopeful too.
We can definitely say we're not hopefuls.
No, wait, that's not true. I think hope is something that anybody can have, and I still have a little bit of hope. I don't know if I'm going to discover one day that I'm just a closet Olympian. I think I might have to change nationalities in sports.
Oh my goodness.
Curling for like Nigeria.
That's fair. What country would you need to represent to get in? We can play that game.
I will. This actually was a thought in mind. Is that like I have the ability to get Indian citizenship.
So true story.
And yeah.
So true story. I do have a good friend I used to ride with a lot. He was a great Cat 1 cyclist. He is half Irish of descent, and he was trying to get on the Irish cross-country ski team. But he got beat out by a bunch of Norwegian-born skiers who grew up in Norway as like the incredible powerhouse, who also had Irish descent. So all the Norwegian skiers who couldn't make the Norwegian Olympic team, they went out for the Irish team, and then he got bumped.
Well,
so this is all part of Tina's introduction. We're still in that.
Yeah, we're in Olympic hopeful.
Why don't we do this? Let's
Yeah.
put a pin in the Olympic hopeful.
We can talk about that
part
all
of the
hour.
conversation.
Okay,
And Tina has now a podcast where she's putting out episodes pretty regularly on the more or less on the week. She's got over 1 million. She's got over 1 million plus downloads. She has made waves in the broader running community just by very candidly sharing parts of her story, which I'd love to get into a little bit. She was named in 2017 one of the 21 women influencing and changing the running world in that respect. So
Awesome.
So very, very cool. So Tina, welcome to this disorganized mess that we call the live show.
Yeah.
I love it, actually. I was watching the channel before you called me, and it's funny, isn't it, when you're that person like you two are right now. I've done that many times, where you kind of feel like you're just kind of rambling, and why would anyone possibly listen to this? But I was loving watching your conversation, even though I knew you were calling me. I loved just watching it. So I'm happy to be here and excited to be here.
Oh, good. You can ramble with us then.
Yeah, it's a good part of our week. I mean, I think it's always a little bit of energy, like to get the whole thing set up and whatever, which is, you know, yeah, but it's always a good part of our week, and actually getting to talk. You know, there are a lot of people online right now who can ask questions to us and to you, and just, you know, we love like just getting in touch with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how should we start with this? Tina, how has this year been for you? You're like kind of the second full year in with Running for Real. You have a new baby, and you are
a little change in my life.
just a new little change, and you had, you know, retired from running, really mentally stepped away from the sport, but you have recommitted. So what has that process been like?
Yeah, this year has just kind of been a bit of a whirlwind, but at the same time, it's been I'm such a goal-oriented, like, go-getter. If I want this, I'm going to do this. But this year has kind of been a bit about, well, let's see what happens. And I've quite enjoyed that. But yeah, it's just, so at the end of, at the beginning of 2017, yeah, I stopped running. Wasn't sure if I was ever going to pick it up again, because I'd very much fallen out of love with it. And I hadn't had a period in 9 years, wanted to get that back. Ended up getting pregnant, and then, yeah, moving on to this year. Had my baby at the beginning of the year, so that was definitely like a kind of life turnaround situation. But she thankfully has been a very good baby, and I've been very lucky with that. And yes, running has made its way back into my life. It's funny, in my head, I'm not taking it that seriously, because I'm comparing it to what I was doing before, running close to 100 miles a week, racing, you know, everything was about my running, and now it's kind of somewhat important, but nowhere near as important as some other things. So for me, I feel like it's toned down, but I would imagine for you, Nate, as you've known me, it probably looks pretty similar to what it did before, just with a baby in the picture.
Any pro runner who's like, I'm just kind of taking it easy, I'm just like, yeah, sure. You tell me that. Why don't we start with your blog post? You wrote this blog post announcing your stepping away from running, and one of your main reasons why. When you put that out, did you like even have any idea or concept that it would go as far as it did, or have the impact that it did?
I mean, I had a feeling that people would be like, whoa, that's a big step, because I'd run a PR in the marathon maybe 2 months before that, maybe 3. And so for someone to go from, you know, usually when someone steps away, it's like they're doing well, and then suddenly they start doing less well, and then they're kind of like, all right, I'm done. And you're like, well, kind of saw that coming. But this was like, I was going up, 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 and then I was like, okay, I'm done. And so I think that kind of caught people off guard. But no, I mean, did I have any idea that, like you mentioned when you were talking about me earlier, did People magazine calling me? Did I ever think I would feature in People magazine for anything, no. And I've mentioned this before, that they did 2 follow-up articles, and the second one was elite runner does still not have a period or still not pregnant. And I thought, that's the weirdest thing that they're, writing an update on me. So I didn't realize it would get to that level, and like my phone ringing off the hook, and that day made my website crash. So that was another thing that kind of
wow.
I just didn't expect. So it was pretty big, yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. Did you have people reaching out to you who really weren't in touch with you through your running career, but felt connected to you because of the topic of that story?
Oh, absolutely. I still, to this day, I probably get 1 to 2 messages per day from women who have found my story and say, like, basically thanking me or asking for advice, which, Nate, you did mention I've written a book. That's the reason for that was, there's still so many people asking me and not really sure what to do, that I figured I'd give them everything that I knew in one place for that reason, because, like you said, I actually think I've become more connected to the rest of the running world because of what I went through. It made people maybe see me as a normal person rather than before. Right. Maybe I trust me, I kind of get it with people, like Usain Bolt or these other people Mo Farah, who are like held up in that pedestal. You feel like they're superhuman. So maybe people thought that about me, and it brought me down to like a normal level.
Yep. Yeah, totally. And it brought to life, like, there are conversations around pregnancy that I think are just not in our culture to talk about. And I think that was really powerful to have that like brought up, and I can imagine you get a lot of people coming toward you for that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you knew was an issue or was strange for a long time, or was it just it was so normal part of your life you didn't think about it? And like, what was the change for you where you're like, not only is this not normal, I need to make a change, and not only do I need to make a change, but I need to like tell other people about this?
Yeah, I mean, it had been gradually building over the years, but it's kind of like when you're running and you're maybe training for a race and you have maybe some small issue. It's like maybe your calf bugs you a little bit and it takes a mile or 2 to warm up, and you think, I really should do something about that because it could get worse. But you're like, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And then if it doesn't ever get any worse, you just kind of say, I'll deal with it tomorrow. And you keep doing that. So that's kind of how it started. I thought, I'll deal with it next month. And as a woman, you're notified about this essentially once a month. So every few months I'd be like, probably should do something, but then just brushed it away. I'm busy, the excuse we all have. And so it was there, but then it started to bother me about 2 years before I stopped. I really started to be like, hey, this is not really normal. I was 27-ish at the time, and I thought, I'm getting to the age where I should be starting to think about children, and I can't have a child right now. So I started to make little changes, hoping that it would fix it, but it didn't. And then it just kind of ramped up. But at the same time, I was still kind of stuffing it down. Like, it's fine, it'll be fine, and not really listening to what my heart or my body was telling me. And I actually spoke to one of the people who has been going through it as well, and she mentioned the word fraudulent, which is kind of how it feels. Like you're kind of putting this picture of health out, like, look how healthy I am, I run and I eat well and all this, but then internally you're not healthy. So it kind of feels a bit fake. So that was really starting to bother me and just ramped up to the point to where I just snapped one day. I never thought that would kind of be me, but it was. So just one day I had enough.
So just for people, we're getting a few references on what you fully shared. Like, what was?
Yeah, give us a synopsis of what happened, and then I think
what you
mentioned it,
but
didn't fully explain. Yeah.
So the blog post I wrote about was I stopped running suddenly, like I said, about 2 months after my marathon PR, partly because I'd fallen out of love with running and just didn't really want to do it anymore, or thought I didn't. And the other part was because I had not had a period in 9 years. So that had been 9 years straight of just kind of, heavy training, intense training. Found out afterwards not eating enough. I had spoken to nutritionists over the years who had said, you're fine, but I actually realized I wasn't when I started working with Nancy Clark, who I'm sure you've probably both heard of. She's very well known as a dietitian. But yeah, so that was kind of what was causing it, and the whole thing was that I kind of spoke out about not having a period, and it turned out it was a very, very common thing for a woman to be going through, but no one was talking about it. Like you mentioned, a lot of people were just too afraid to have that conversation, and I decided that I wanted to make it be a conversation because I was fed up of feeling broken or fraudulent, as we mentioned earlier. Does that kind of...
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just to give context to people, I think that the like commonality with many, not just professional runners, but just runners who have put a lot of emphasis on the training. I know in college, you know, that sort of issue was rampant on our women's team, and it really wasn't looked at as like something that was wrong. It was just kind of like, oh, it's a consequence of my training. Like,
well, some people see it as like a badge of honor. Like, that shows me how hard I'm training.
Right. Look how lean I am, and my body's.
I've always thought, you know, like when I would do like high mileage, over 100 miles a week, like I would find that I'd get colds really often. You know, like just from like I wouldn't have the desire to do normal things, even from like a libido standpoint. I remember like as a college kid, I feel like these changes in my body, and it just seems. I always thought like these are like basic functions as a human being that they start to falter at a certain point because you're pushing your body so much.
Now, Edward in our community just brought this up, and it's funny, Edward, that you asked that question because I was going to bring up the same thing. I was just rereading the introduction of Elise Kopecky and Shane Flanagan's book, Run Fast, Train Fast, Eat Slow, or Run Fast, Cook Fast, Train Fast, Eat Slow. It's one of recover something.
It's run fast, cook fast, eat slow.
Compete to win, eat burgers. I'm not really sure. That might have been the title B. But she mentions in her intro, you know, she ran at UNC Chapel Hill, and she struggled with similar things. And it wasn't until she really changed the way she was eating that she found that she could be healthy. Being healthy isn't meaning just drinking kale juice. It could be a juicy burger. Now, the question here is not necessarily about your own individual relationship with food, but maybe what the general message we were hearing, you know, about food. Because as you said, you didn't have an eating disorder. You were working with nutritionists, and you were basically doing what they were advising you to do, and there were some holes. So, like, what have you learned on the nutrition side, and maybe what have you seen is changing from a broader message standpoint towards runners?
I think the biggest thing that comes to mind with that is I very much, now I look back, I can see I was as thin as every other elite runner. But at the time, I thought I was bigger. And therefore, you know, I knew how much I was eating. As you mentioned, I didn't have an eating disorder. And I would eat very well. Like I would go out and have burger and fries. I would have a dessert every night, and I'm not talking one square of chocolate, I'm talking a big bowl of ice cream and cookies. But at the same time, I would look at other runners and say, well, how come she seems to be fine, but what about me? And, you know, I'm eating more than she is, and it became very much about a weight thing. Like, well, why does she weigh less than me and she's got hers? But I've since found that for me and my body, I wasn't consuming enough, and I think that's kind of the case. Elise has kind of put that out very much. That's why they don't have caloric information in her cookbook, because it's not about calories. It's not about saying, well, you need 2,500, I need 2,600, but it's more about what does your body need to function correctly. And it's not just about women as well, it's also men. Like, yes, women have the menstrual cycle, but men, there's a thing called Red S, which is the you know, broad term across men and women, where it's just you're not getting enough calories to sustain your training. And it's I think it stands for a relative something. I should have thought about that before, but it's about a calorie deficit, and it's all about kind of you're not taking in enough. And so I learned that even though I might feel like I'm getting bigger than other people that I race against, or other people within the community, I needed to eat more for my body, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what it kind of brought out. And I think that's why it's been brought into the limelight, because we're realizing that we're not all the same. You can't have
Right.
one nutritionist say this is exactly what every person needs. Everyone needs different
Right.
caloric intakes and even just components of food to keep their diet, you know, at a place it needs to be.
Yeah. Did you find yourself, like, do you still look at, because I know at one point I felt like nutritionally we were very focused on just the number of calories. Like, how many calories are you putting in hourly? What's your daily caloric intake? And not to say that those aren't as important, but I feel like I've heard more lately that the source of those calories is way more important.
And now you hear about timing it too.
Than that, and now timing, like, where does that all mix in for how you are eating now, especially with a newborn?
For me, a lot of it has been about increasing overall calories, particularly being someone who is breastfeeding. That means even more calories
Right.
I need to consume. But definitely components comes into it. I think one thing to notice with that I've paid attention to is I mentioned to you I had big desserts before, and I used to crave sugar like no one else. I would wake up in the morning, I would reach for a chocolate bar. 2 hours later, I would reach for more sugar, and that was basically my body screaming at me saying,
You're not getting enough fat.
"You're not giving me enough." And it's going for sugar because that's
Right.
obviously the easiest way of getting it. So I think that's one component. If someone is
I know that, and I've
There's
been
a-
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's not saying that sweet tooths don't exist. I'm definitely someone who has a sweet tooth, but if you're craving it constantly, that's a sign that there's not enough. And in which case, that's a place where you should be adding more fats into your diet and protein into your diet, because those are foods that are going to sustain you and are going to be more nutritional to your body and what it needs. So I think increasing fat and increasing protein is a huge part of it. But one thing I will say, I did kind of end up not really meaning to, but I ended up low carb, high fat at one point a few years ago. And although I felt good within my running, I can see that wasn't really helping my situation anymore. It was leaning me down even more. So
Interesting.
you want to make sure if you are increasing the fat and the protein as well, that doesn't mean you're, removing the carbs, especially if you're trying to run fast. You can get away with running far, but not fast.
Yeah, that's true.
To me, this kind of like harks back to something that I remember having to come to very slowly and somewhat painfully, which is that I used to believe that, as my performance increased, it meant that I was healthier. So if I was running 6 miles a day, I was at one level, but if I was running 10 miles a day, it was also like, hey, I'm being even healthier. And if my times were dropping, that was a good thing for my body. And after college and like more looking in hindsight at like my higher mileage time periods and training periods, I just realized like that eventually for most people there seems to be a separation of like eventually you might be doing things that are just for performance and it's not really for your health. Whereas when you're really, if you're sedentary and you're just kind of sitting down and on the couch all day, there seems to be like some sort of commonality between if I move and I'm active, I'm healthier, but that doesn't just continue down that path.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. With a lot of things, even with the whole weight issue, people think thinner equals better, but it doesn't really work that way. Yes, obviously it does to an extent, but at a certain point you hit like a plateau, and I think that's the same with, like you said, the health benefits. I can't imagine in many ways running 100 miles a week was healthy for my body or good for my body. That's taking it way too far. So,
So one of my favorite racing weight stories is of Chris McCormick, who is an incredible, like one of the better triathletes out there. He raced short course at the Olympics, was incredible. He moved to the long course racing, and this was probably, like 10 years ago, something like that, when he was in his prime. And he was like the Lance Armstrong now means different things, but he was the Lance Armstrong, and he was this like brash, confident. The media loved him because he would always say whatever was on his mind. Chris McCormick. And he's one of these guys who would always kill it in the spring and the summer, but he never did well at Kona, which was the Super Bowl for triathlon. It was in October, the Ironman World Championships. And he would like crush people in July, and then he would always fall flat in October. And of course, when he's crushing people in July, he's confident. He's like, I'm gonna go and like set these new records at Kona, and it never happened. And one of the backstories was that he was naturally a bigger framed individual.
Yep.
And like his natural weight was maybe closer to 170, 175. And guys, this is bigger framed individual for elite endurance athletes.
Yep.
He was trying to race in Kona under 160 pounds. Because how many times have we heard this? Hey, if I lose 5 pounds, then all of a sudden I can run a few seconds per mile faster.
Take these ankles weights off, I'll be flying.
But what happened is that he was going into October like very fit, but just tired, fatigued, not really able to have the performance. He tried everything, and it wasn't until he actually let himself way heavier for longer throughout the year and roll into Kona at 170 that he smashed everyone, ran his best marathon ever.
Wow.
And so it was such an interesting thing because I got that message earlier in my triathlon career where I was like 6 foot and I was trying to race at 155. And it wasn't until I let myself gain 10 pounds that I was really
155, yeah. I was 6'2" and 158, 150, 160 in college, and I was also had not really kind of fully matured at that point, but yeah, trying to get down those weights now would be ridiculous.
But such an interesting thing is that we could keep going on the nutritional stuff, but we have so many more things to talk about. We would love to talk about your podcast, and I think this is like your message that you're trying to put out, you know, into the world. You call it the Running for Real podcast. Where did you come up with the name, and why is that name important?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always been someone who shared too much, which is weird. Being a British person, I don't know how many British people you guys know or people listening know, but British people are very like reserved, kind of don't say too much, keep things to yourself, polite. But I've never been that way. I've always shared too much, which has got me in trouble sometimes. But it's also made me very relatable and kind of feel like people can connect with me because they're like, oh yeah, I've been through that, but no one actually said it. So I knew that when I was thinking about, you know, going off kind of on my own to start a business and eventually have a podcast, I knew I wanted it to be something about being like, you know, authentic or kind of being able to connect with people. I very much saw myself as the bridge between elite running and everyone else. Like I like to think that the things that I share, people watching right now or people who follow me on social media think, wow, I've been through that too. And so I like to think of myself as like the bridge. I can kind of ask the elites and share the elite and impress people with what I do, but then at the same time say, that wasn't easy. You know, I threw up at the end or whatever it may be. So Running for Real, I spent quite a while trying to come up with a name, and, you know, obviously that takes a while and it's hard to think of. But I don't remember where the name came from. I think I said either Running for Real or Real Run or something about that, and I was speaking to a friend of mine, Rice, and I said, what do you think about Running for Real? And he said, that's it. And I was like, yeah, that is it. And it just kind of, it was one of those like aha moments, like finding a wedding dress where you were like, that's the one. And it just seemed to work so perfectly with the way that I share things. You probly feel that way with
I totally know what that's like, especially when Craig and I got business married. So backstory. So this is my real marriage.
Wait,
and
what?
Then, well, they're both real marriages.
Okay, there you go.
But, you know, these are Aura rings. They're like the little health trackers.
Wait, why does Craig not wear it on the right finger?
Well, because we're not actually married.
We're not actually married. So
you did though.
So this is my.
Here, is that better? Is it better? I got you now. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. He wears it on the other one.
Whenever I put it on this finger, I feel this kind of like
that's to throw people off the scent.
Weight. I feel.
Well, there probably are a lot of people that don't know which one, like left or right, is the
I know,
which is why I don't put it on that finger, because I am single, and if I was to put it on this finger, it may hinder the possibility of me ever not being single.
I see.
So.
Okay.
For me, I'm closed for business on both fronts. So
yeah, see, that's right. This is closed for business. He's not available, folks.
This is open.
But not for business. Only for pleasure. Only for pleasure. I don't know how we got on this topic. Okay. All right.
Let's go back to the podcast. What has it been like to build it? How did it feel getting up to 1 million plus downloads?
Yeah, so I hosted a running podcast previously for the company I worked for before, which some of your listeners I'm sure will have come across a Runners Connect article from time to time. Usually, they're quite common. And so I worked for Runners Connect, grew their podcast, did really well, enjoyed it, but I just got this feeling I wanted to go out on my own and see what I could do. And so I began doing this podcast, and to be totally honest, being real, I struggled at first because I thought that I'd grown the Runners Connect podcast to 150,000 downloads a month. And in my head, even though it's not 150,000 listeners, I thought every single one of those would come with me. And It didn't work like that. My downloads were less than half of that. And I thought, why is this not, why didn't everyone follow me across? And, that was kind of something to learn to deal with. But gradually, it's been very satisfying to see it grow naturally over time and see people just kind of find it and discover it and kind of binge on it. And Nate, you were one of my guests early on, and people go back through and find the early guests, and it's just been fun. I mean, it's grown. I've managed to get a lot of really big time guests. I was honored to hear Dean Karnazes a few months ago told me it was one of his favorite interviews of all time, and to hear him say that, I was just blown away. And so yeah, it's getting to the point now where it hit 1 million. I was very excited about that, and I'd love to see where it can go. I want to start doing some live shows around, but need to kind of put that into practice and decide where and who I'm going to have on there. So I'm hoping for some exciting things in 2019, and seeing where it's going to go.
Yeah, who've been some of your other favorite guests besides Mr. Karnazes, Mr. Dean?
It's like picking a favorite child. I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, I know.
One that sticks to mind lately is someone called Siri Lindley, which
Weren't you a guest on her podcast?
I was.
Are you angling to be the favorite child? Is that what that was about?
Definitely.
No, that's what he wanted you to say.
Not at all.
He's because I could see that you were just you're a little crestfallen there when she didn't say your name, and I was like, what?
Hey,
because you're.
I'm a second child. Okay, I need to get that little extra. No, so Siri Lindley, continue.
Yeah. Other than Nate Helming, yes, was absolutely
there we go.
My favorite. Siri Lindley is a triathlete. She was the world champion multiple years. I know Elizabeth Inpin, who is one of your dietitian. She was actually one of the people she was the person I called when Siri agreed to come on the show, because it was such a big thing, and she was just as excited as I was. So Siri was awesome. A huge one. Cora Goucher is probably one of my favorites because she really and she just was, again, very real. She's known as someone who doesn't mind sharing things as they are. So I think those would be the main ones. But I love getting the kind of sciencey people. Like I've had Andy Jones, who's worked with the Breaking 2 project.
Sure.
And Michael Joyner, who is another guy who's really...
That was one of my favorite interviews and podcasts that you've done. I found that fascinating because he was also Paula Radcliffe's coach, correct?
Yeah. Not coach. He
helped advise her. But that I love that. That was such a great episode.
Yeah, he's and all of I love listening to these like minds of the sport, especially if they're very good at like connecting and actually putting it into everyday language, not their science technical terms. So it's a lot of fun getting a lot out of them too.
To get in there for sure. Well, that is so great. So the podcasts continue, and in addition to that, you also have some programs that you started to offer that you and your husband / coach have built, and as part of this giveaway,
About to say, okay, good. I
Yeah.
was like, we haven't talked about a giveaway yet. There
I
you go.
know. Segue.
Well done.
Giveaway
Yeah, well
that
done.
you
Well
guys
done.
can win. And one of 2 people could win a training plan from Tina and her coach, which I'd love for her to describe in a little bit more detail. But as she's describing it, you can go ahead and enter by going into the description of today's video. It's one of the first links. It's a Gleam link. You'll be able to enter the giveaway by checking out Tina's website. You can also subscribe to her podcast there and check out any of her other stuff, as well as follow her on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. So check it out. Anywhere from a 5K, 10K, half marathon to marathon. But Tina, do you want to talk about your programs a little bit?
Yeah, so firstly, I'm going to say that these programs kind of catch people off guard sometimes because they were created by my husband, who just has this genius mind of how he can put together training plans. His athletes, other coaches refer to him as like money in the bank because his athletes always perform when it matters. But his training plans are 100% effort-based. So that means there's no paces, but everyone is a little bit nervous of that at first, but everyone that does it and really commits to it just destroys their PRs because you remove your mind and you remove all the pressure and the expectations, because we've all had those situations where you're running along and you look down at your watch and you think, oh no, that's too fast, I'm going to blow up, and you're just waiting. And as soon as you get hit a rough patch, you think, here we go, it's all gone, I'm blowing up, and then you just negatively just give in. Or the other way, you look at your watch and it's too slow. Oh, I better hurry up, and you push your body and you feel like you've got to catch up, and it doesn't feel very good. So this training plan is 100% effort-based, but it can be used for every race for the rest of your life in that distance, every terrain, every weather condition, because it teaches you how to listen to your body. So you cross that finish line knowing you have given 100% your absolute max, but without paces. And it sounds crazy because we're so used to GPS watches, but it works really, really well. So that's the plan.
That is something that is certainly near and dear to our hearts. We talked about it in depth with our guest Alex Hutchinson last week. And about pacing and effort and how do these devices help us / hurt us. One of my things that I think about when in terms of listening to your body, it's something it's out there in the world that most people have heard that phrase at some point. But if that was in like an SAT test that you had to say define listening to your body, I think we would really struggle.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Like with that first step.
Totally.
So having programs out there that help people understand what that means,
like form your own
is
internal
great.
barometer, like how accurately do you actually understand what's going on in your body? It's crucial. I think. I mean, it is a crucial element to any sort of athletic event.
Yeah, and it is scary to do because we're so used to these. But if you think about it, 20 years ago, we were all doing that. That was the only choice we had. It's just this last 5-10 years that we've become used to it. So so the training plan is there's a 5K, 10K one, a half marathon or a marathon one, and it just teaches you over time how to use effort and do exactly what you just said. And I'm glad you mentioned Alex, because he's obviously a good person who has the science to prove that it works. So yeah.
Incredible.
Very cool.
Well, Tina, thank you so much for spending your Thursday afternoon with us online. Our
guys, just a reminder again, if you want to hit the Gleam link below, and in the description there's a link to Tina's website where you can get to all of her stuff, Instagram, podcasts, etc. We have a drawing to do from last week, and then the drawing for this week we'll do next Thursday.
Yeah. Dave Friswell says, I'm subscribed to Running for Real, love it.
Lizzie runs far, says she just
Lizzie
subscribed.
says, I just subscribed to Tina's YouTube and Instagram channels. Awesome. Wait, are you on YouTube, and do we not talk about this?
I am on YouTube, but it's mostly just my podcasts that go on there.
Gotcha.
I really
perfect.
need to figure it out. I do have a decent for me, not compared to you, amount of subscribers, but I just haven't really explored that too much yet. And I just want to mention, Sam asked at the beginning what my half marathon time is. It's 1:13. So there you go.
Wow.
We missed that.
Pretty
16 and low change for your 5K. Is it like 33 10K? Just a fanboy over here. You know.
That's pretty impressive.
Got it memorized.
So what are my stats?
I don't know. Once we get business married, you know.
Yeah, you just
take for granted
the effort
all
just
the
goes
details.
straight out the window. Oh my god.
You know how it is.
You're
know
like
how it
the
is.
you know in
I haven't been satisfied for years.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm taking you out to a fancy dinner tonight.
It's true, we are going to a fancy dinner tonight, and he did buy me some Christmas gear, so there you go.
That's it. Well, Tina, again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on, and we'll do this again.
And if anyone has any questions, as I said, I'm real, so ask me, and I'm happy to answer.
That is awesome. I appreciate you. I appreciate you offering that out. Yeah, we'll catch up with you again soon, and guys, hang on because we are going to go and do our drawing. Thanks, Tina.
All right, thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. First of all, that's awesome. Tina's like, she's always like a super.
Isn't she so great? Like,
easy person to talk to.
She's such a fun, easy guest to talk to, and she's just, you know, just wonderful.
Let's see what we got. Oh, this is the giveaway for Alex's book.
So for those of you guys who listened to last week, or you listened to the recording of last week, and we had the great conversation with New York Times bestselling author Alex Hutchinson, who wrote the book Endure. He's agreed to give away, I want to say two signed copies of his latest book. And we are doing the drawings. Let's see what we got.
All right, Debbie Gilbert.
Yeah, we have Debbie Gilbert and from the UK. Congratulations, Debbie, from Hertford, England. And we have
Aaron Humphrey
from Nellysford,
Virginia.
Nellysford. It's what, like Oregon or Oregon? How do you say it?
Oregon.
I know, but if you're on the East Coast, people say they mispronounce it. Oregon.
That's because they're far away and they're wrong.
So I don't know how to say Nellysford. Is it Nellysford or is it Nellysford?
Ford.
Is it Ford?
Nellysford.
Because you're, well...
Because...
I guess you don't say Louisville, do you?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, idiot. Louisville, Kentucky. Well, congratulations, Debbie and Aaron. You guys are the winners of Alex's book. Remember, you can still enter the giveaway for one of Tina's awesome running plans. Definitely check out her stuff, guys. Subscribe to her podcast. She's got great guests all the time.
Yep.
And
we only have one more show till the end of the year. Guys, one more show to the end of the year. We'll talk about gear next week.
Maybe I think we have enough cool gear that has entered our world that we have got some fun things to
100%.
share.
Yeah.
And then maybe we'll get Zach Levitt on for like 15 minutes or something like that.
Totally.
That's it.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. We got to continue our Thursday. A lot of work still to be done. My parents are probably waiting around outside. Thank you for spending time with us as always. We will see you guys next week. Here comes the intro. Outro.
I did that. So now, like, adding some strength training into it, adding some different types of workouts, I feel like I'll get there. It feels good to run fast. I just need to be able to, like, sustain it. My name is Denise Franton. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I actually want to do a sub 2 hour half marathon.